If you're looking for fully remote, 100% permanent work from home jobs, you've landed in the right place because I'm going to be talking about 3 amazing companies offering amazing work from home opportunities that you should be applying to right now. Now, a lot of people they love the work from home trend. I personally am not a big fan of it, but at the same point in time, it's actually not that bad. And many big companies have started to adopt that as well. Let me actually talk to you about 3 of these amazing companies. And the one thing that is the common denominator amongst all of these 3 options is that they option an amazing work-life balance. So yes, it is work from home, but at the same point in time, it's not going to be a position where you're having to work 10, 12, 15 hours a day. So that's not something that you have to expect from these positions, okay? But before we do that, make sure to subscribe to this channel so that we can bring more such content to you. And you can also follow us on our Instagram page where we do a lot of such content on a daily basis for you guys. Getting to the list, the first one on this list is Doist. And if you've used the to-do list on a Mac or maybe even on Windows, they have an application for this. This is the to-do list that they have over here, right? You would know that this has been an amazing help massively in increasing productivity for a lot of people. I would say millions of people worldwide. And this is exactly what Doist is doing. The positions are fully remote with amazing competitive salaries. And if you actually go onto their website, you will find that, all right, Doist careers, they have open roles. Let's just go ahead and see them. By the way, they have 2 main products right now, Doist, which is again sort of like a to-do list, right? And Twist, which they recently launched, which basically teams are using to collaborate, right? But for now, again, you can see only 2 roles over here: senior backend engineer, and this is full-time remote role, right here, you can check it out. And the other one is founding engineer electron applications, again depending on what you know, what kind of a background you come from. But remember, this one is for more of a technical role. Next 2 are going to be better. They have more flexibility in terms of what kind of positions you would like to go for. But for now, Doist has these 2 open, and let's just say that I want to open up the senior backend engineer essentially, in Python, and I personally work on Python, so I might actually think of applying. Either way, you will find all of these details over here: description, core values, role, about you, what are the requirements, and what are the benefits. And remember, at the same point in time, fully remote, guys. Now, upon doing further research upon Doist, you would find that the interview is generally pretty easy. They don't really ask too hard questions. They stick to theoretical concepts for the most part, essentially for technical roles. Whereas for non-technical roles, whenever they start hiring, by the way, right now they're not, but when they do, they will ask you about your past experiences and they would like to focus on those itself. So the interview is really, really simple. You don't really have something jumping out of the blue. But yes, I would still say go ahead, research the company before you actually go in for the interview. Fun fact, this was started by a guy in college who actually wanted to build his own to-do list. So he built this application, and later on, of course, from there, you see millions of people nowadays are using his to-do list. Alright guys, moving on to the next one. The next one is a very popular Indian startup which has actually established its footprints in Ireland and the US as well now. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the name is Browserstack. Browserstack is now offering fully remote positions, and I'm pretty sure that at some point in time you have used Browserstack, essentially if you're from the tech domain, because if you're building a website or a phone application, you probably have to test out how it behaves on different devices, right? Maybe on different browsers as well. And all of that is possible right here through Browserstack. It's been 11 years this company has been going, and they have an amazing team, and I would highly recommend applying. But the interview process is actually pretty long. It's actually 5 rounds. So yeah, the process is a little bit lengthy, but if you want to shift the scales in the favor of Browserstack, they are offering very well, more than competitive salaries, I would say. More than what's the industry average, they're offering much more than that. So it's a very good startup to work with, essentially if you're looking for higher pay and a work from home opportunity. And if you actually go ahead, visit their website, you will see over here, view open positions, and this should take us to the next page right over here, which will list out all the positions that are available. Again, you can see, for instance, customer engineer. This is again in Ireland, but a remote position, right? Again, this one is in India, but a remote position. Senior content strategist. As you can see, non-technical roles are also present over here. So whatever you want to apply for, there are certainly possibilities, opportunities that you can actually go ahead with. Now, if you actually were to do some research about Browserstack, right? Software engineers or technical roles essentially will be asked more about process management, operating systems, like how does multi-threading work in Ubuntu, etc., etc. Next, you cannot miss out on this. You must know browser automation, because that is essentially what Browserstack is working with. So, browser automation, Selenium, even, simple tools like Beautiful Soup, I would not forgo them. You should know what they do and you should know the commands. And of course, if you know Linux, Ubuntu, I would say at least any Debian system, to be very honest, I would say popularly, you should be golden. Well, that's for technical roles, but let's say if you're going for a non-technical role, maybe a managerial role, then in most cases you would be asked about case studies. So you better have a good grasp on them. They may ask you about how to market a particular product that they may be working on, or it could be just in general what Browserstack does and how would you actually go ahead and introduce it to other people. Essentially, how would you basically increase the footprint, the customer base, all of those things are generally asked during these interviews. Of course, there can be various other case studies apart from just marketing, but that's the one that reflected most when I actually read more about the company. Alright guys, the final one in this list, one of the top 3 performers again, is Slack. And who isn't using Slack nowadays? Right from organizations with just 2 or 3 people within them to organizations with hundreds of thousands of people nowadays use Slack to manage their daily communication during the working hours, at least for the most part, right? If you have to communicate with peers, with people who you're working with, you have to connect with teams or work with groups, or even single people, actually, to be very honest. Slack is an amazing way to share messages, files, and even code a lot of times. And again, like I said, the common denominator, whatever jobs they're offering over here, offer a very good work-life balance. So that's something that you do not need to worry about. I've already went ahead and researched about that. The reason is there is no point going in, applying and getting a job and then switching a couple months later simply because the work-life balance was not what you expected. Finally, one thing about Slack, they have both work from home and hybrid positions available. And they have offices almost all over the world, no matter which country you're looking in. So this is actually going to be pretty great for you, just in case you like to sometimes pop into the office as well. Let me actually click on View Careers over here, and you can see that they have a lot of options in terms of locations, and there's a lot of job opportunities as well. A lot of different roles, a lot of locations. Let me actually go ahead and select something that is maybe what most of the audience would resonate with. So let's say I'll select India, Pune. Let me actually select India, Pune remote instead, by the way. So we're looking at remote opportunities, or hybrid ones at least. Right, and they have a couple over here, only 2 actually, data engineer and data engineer in sales. Right, so let's say that I'm going for data engineer in finance and accounting. All right, I'll open up the page, and of course right here you can see that it's essentially a position which is based out of Pune, but it is a remote position. All right, apart from that, of course, you can read everything about the position. All of the information is right over here, right, of course, and the links are going to be in the description, so you don't need to worry about that bit. You can also go ahead and apply directly through the website itself. Now, the major part of importance over here, guys, after researching about the company, the roles, one thing I've noticed is that the salaries are very skewed based on the location. So you can expect that the position essentially, right, would be offering, for instance, this one is in India, Pune. So the salaries would be definitely at par with what India offers for the most part. It will not be of the level of US salaries or UK salaries or French salaries. It will be very much in touch with the Indian roots in terms of what salaries currently are over here in India. So yes, even though it's a remote position and in some cases hybrid position, but it says right over here, India, Pune, that means you should understand that the salaries will be very well in touch with what India, Pune offers. And to be very honest, their salaries are a little bit lower as well for the most part as compared to a lot of good startups, I would say, such as, for instance, Browserstack in my last point, which I mentioned. They're offering amazingly high salaries, I would say. Now, Slack's interview mainly consists of a couple of rounds again, and the first one, of course, would be a phonetic interview, usually lasts about 10 minutes. And again, if you're shortlisted, you have like a 1 hour one-on-one interview with your manager for the most part. Then there's usually always a chronological round, as they like to call it, wherein they actually take a look at all of your past experiences and understand exactly what you did over there. So again, it's basically talking about your history, your experiences, what you learned, etc, etc. And finally, there's a panel presentation which you have to present to basically a panel from Slack, right, wherein you essentially talk about any topic that is usually given to you. You have to present on it itself, and based on that, finally you get a decision whether you're selected or not. Keep in mind that Slack does receive a lot of applications. Sometimes what happens even after you start the interview process, and again, they're infamous for a little bit of this, but they may not actually inform you if you're not selected, which I would say, it's not the best thing to do, but certainly with so many applicants, maybe they're missing out on some of the processes. But hell, maybe they can create a Trello board to manage that. you know. Anyway, I hope this video helps you, and I really hope that you'll subscribe to the channel, and of course make sure that you're on our Instagram as well. Connect with me directly over there. I hope to see you in the next one, where I'll bring you more such opportunities. Let me know in the comments down below as to which ones of these you have applied to.